Hello and welcome back to Beckler Guitars and Repair, and today we're checking out a pretty cool guitar. This is a 1994 modified Gibson Studio Les Paul with gold hardware, ebony fingerboard, and yeah, some swapped out pickups. So I recently did a video on a 92 Studio. I had that one for sale. What happened was I ended up falling in love with that guitar. I played it like every day. It actually sold right when I was about to take it down. So I've been on the hunt for a Studio of that same era ever since. And this one came up. So today I want to go through this guitar. I want to set it up and make it the best it can be playing wise. Swap out the pickups to something a little bit more my style. Basically turn this thing into a rock and roll machine. Let's go ahead. So yeah, I picked this one up locally for a very decent price. It definitely wasn't stock, but it's in good shape. Comes in this really cool old school Gibson case, but these ones are like a lot better padded and have a lot better interior than some of the other ones I've seen. The other ones I've seen from like the 90s are they have like that white interior and they don't seem very good quality. This one's actually made by TKL and has a super like plush lining. So yeah, that's a cool case. And the last black 90s Studio that I had, I threw up for sale on Reverb. I put the price on like the higher side. That's typically what I do with the guitar that I'm not really sure if I'm going to sell yet. I keep it on the higher side just because if it sells for that price, then so be it. If not, I got a little extra time to play it and figure out if I want to keep it before it sells because the price is a little bit higher. But that last one sold almost instantaneously, and it even had a neck repair and everything. So it was bittersweet. I really missed that guitar, so I jumped on this one when I found it because I was really looking for another one. So the reason why these 90s Gibson Les Paul Studios are so special is they're built within that golden era. So a lot of people kind of scoff at that, but there's a little bit of you know, reasoning behind it. So between like 1992 and 2006 is considered to be that golden era, and just for a few reasons. So basically, the average tenure of the Gibson workers working at the factory was higher than it was at any other time. So about 6 years plus. So that means all the people working these guitars had about 6 years of experience doing the exact same tasks every single day. So as a result, you know, the quality was super high that came out. The return of this era was like historically low. So not a lot of returns came back due to quality issues or anything else like that. And during this time, they were known to have super high quality wood. So they were getting really nice mahogany, really nice maple, and all the woods that they were using were super high quality. Additionally, during these years, Studios were made with ebony boards. So ebony is typically considered a higher end wood from Gibson, used on like custom shop guitars, that kind of a thing. And it's just really nice to play a fretboard made of ebony. It's just really smooth feeling, very glassy, easy to bend, and it looks quite nice as well. So this guitar in particular is in really nice shape. It's got the odd like scrape and ding on it. It's kind of worn through the finish in this little area here, and it's been modified a bit. So the pickups have been swapped with these EMGs. So as far as I can tell, just because the lettering on these are red, I think these are the Gary Holt signature set. Gary Holt is from Exodus, and now he's a permanent member of Slayer. And a characteristic of these specific signature models is they can be coil taps. So normally active EMGs can't do coil taps or splits, and these ones apparently can, and I did notice that on this guitar too. So you've got push-pull pots. And I'm going to switch these out because typically EMGs are not my style. I appreciate the sound and everything else like that. It's just not really my thing, not the vision I have for this guitar. I want to turn this into like a stage guitar for myself. I don't want to bring my R8 out to shows, but I want something that plays as good and sounds as good as it. So I'm going to go ahead and set this thing up really, really well and put some really nice fancy boutique PAF pickups in there and just make this thing into a rock machine. As far as originality goes, I've got the original tailpiece, the original bridge. It looks like the knobs have been replaced. It would have came with like black speed knobs. These are cool though. They have the gold centers, so they're speed knobs, but they kind of match the hardware a little bit better. So I think I'll keep those on. And yeah, I'll be swapping the pickups. It looks like new screws were put into the pickup rings. And it appears the pickguard is original, as well as the three-way toggle, but we'll learn more about that once we open it up. And the frets are in good shape, but I did notice there was a little bit of buzzing when I got it down to the action that I like, so this thing is likely going to need a fret level to get it to the level where I want it. And also the machine heads have been replaced. Normally it would have came with like those vintage style Clouson machine heads, but they've been kind of upgraded to these Grover ones. What's nice about these Grover ones is they actually use the same screw holes. So the bottom screw can be used, and it looks like they filled in the top screw hole, and it's a relatively nice job. And there's our serial number in 1994. They were doing the year in the first two digits, so 94. And the back of the guitar is in pretty good shape too. There's a little bit of buckle worming and a few marks and dings, but overall, pretty nice shape. Alright, let's get it on the bench and take a look at some of the other specs on this guitar. Alright, let's get a weight. These are known to be pretty heavy guitars. I think my last one was like 10.5 pounds. And they still have the 9-hole weight relief, but they're just known for being on the heavier side. So let's have a look here. Weighing in at just about 9.5 pounds, so about a pound lighter than my last one, which is nice. Or 4.36 kilograms. So I've got to open this guitar up to verify what EMG models these are, but let's get a reading here. So in the bridge position, it's reading a 17, and then split. Just trying to see what that split actually does to the reading. So the split actually doesn't do much to the reading. It brings it down to a 16.55. Let's try the neck pickup. So that's reading a 17.93, and then split a 17.45. Those readings don't really relate to the sound difference. I did record a couple sound clips with these pickups before I removed them, just so you can hear. And you can hear when I do the split that there is a significant drop in volume. Typically on a normal like PAF style humbucker, that splits the coil, so you're only getting like half a reading of the humbucker. But it's doing something a little bit different in these pickups. I'm not sure what. And these are the pickups I'm going to be replacing them with. So these are custom PAF pickups by Vaughn Scow. He's like a boutique builder from Nashville. And he's supposed to build like really authentic sounding PAF, like vintage style pickups. These custom ones are a little bit overwound just to get a little bit more bite and crunch. Another nice feature about these pickups is they're supposed to sound really good split. They're kind of designed that way, so you get a nice single coil sound out of them as well. So I'm going to go ahead and use the push-pull pots that are already in here to make the humbuckers splittable. And these pickups are actually unavailable right now as he changes facilities. I'll put a link in the description to his website. And yeah, this is not a sponsored video by any means. I managed to pick these up used, and I've been just kind of waiting to put them into something. The one thing I don't love is the pickup covers are chrome or nickel, and I really want some gold ones. So probably am going to still use these pickups, but eventually I'm going to change the covers to gold down the line. And here's a look at the tailpiece. It's full weight. It's just got the one casting mark in the center, and it's gold. And here's a look at the two-pneumatic bridge. It says made in Germany, which is correct for this time frame. And it's not collapsed at all. It's in good shape. Okay, let's have a look at the pickups here. All right, okay. So yeah, this appears to be an older EMG set. So EMG 89, this is the 89 is the coil splittable model with Alnico 5 magnets, I believe. Usually this came as a set as like an 81 and 89, so the back pickup would be splittable, but then the neck pickup wouldn't, or you know, vice versa. But I think these are both 89s. Let's have a look. Yep. So yeah, these are both splittable Alnico 5 active pickups. So that's kind of a cool thing. These are the old style wiring, so they won't have like the quick connect. And let's have a look at our routing. So yeah, the routes look nice and clean. Doesn't appear to have any factory markings inside of any kind. And you can see that like red buffing compound, which is common in this era. Let's have a look in the wiring cavity. And yeah, it looks like there's quite a bit going on in here. So this is likely the battery. And it looks like it's just sort of wrapped in foam and some electrical tape. This makes it pretty annoying in case you have to change your battery. Oh, I guess it's easy to just pop out actually. So yeah, there's our active wiring. And it looks like all of this has been replaced from original. So we've got two push-pull pots here for the volume. We've got a mini pot for tone for some reason. And then another full-size pot for the bridge pickup. We've got these brown style capacitors, and yeah, it looks relatively well done. I would say a little amateurish, but overall not too bad. So what I'm going to be doing now is just taking all this wiring out. I'm probably going to change these pots out to just more standard full-size potentiometers. I'm probably going to keep the push-pull pots for the new humbuckers so I can split those and replace the pickups. Alright, so here's the completed wiring. I replaced these two pots that were in there with some 500K pots. I reused the capacitors because those are the correct values, and I'm reusing the push-pull pots. So I tested this with a multimeter and everything is working the way it should. So that's great. Just checking out the pickup cavity. Cavity looks good. Again, it's well routed and you can see that reddish buffing compound. And the switch cavity looks good as well. And it's got the original switch in there. So here it looks with the new pickups installed. Yeah, gold I think would look a little bit better, but I don't really mind the way it looks. And I'm going to work on getting some gold covers that I can install. So next is I want to do a fret level on this guitar. It plays okay, but basically I want it to be dead low. I really prefer my guitars with like lower action. The only way to do that on this guitar is going to be a fret level because some of the frets are a little bit uneven. And what I mean by that is using a fret rocker, if you go up and down the neck, you can find spots that have a high center. So that means the frets aren't perfectly level. So there's a high spot there, 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 high spot there. So yeah, in this area, lots of high spots, and then a few over, you know, near the nut as well. So I'm just gonna go ahead and do a full fret level. It probably doesn't need much of one, but it definitely does need one. And then I'm gonna go ahead and re-crown and polish all the frets, and we should be able to get that nice low action that we're looking for. And just a little tip for fret leveling on Gibsons, I like to lower the pickups so that way the file doesn't hit and scuff up the pickups. I'll also tape off this area too, just to make sure that there's no marks when I'm doing it. Alright, so here's the finished product. So these have been perfectly leveled. I checked it with the fret rocker. They're all good to go. And then sanded, crowned, and polished. So super shiny. There used to be a couple divots here in the cowboy cord area, but those have all been leveled out. So now it's super shiny and ready to play. Okay, I'm going to remove all the tape and then set it up with some Ernie Ball 9s, and then we can check the setup and check the condition. So now that it's all set up, intonated and restrung and cleaned up, let's have a quick look at the condition. This thing cleaned up really well. The headstock's in good shape, no major scratches or dings. There's a few like surface level scuffs you can see. Nut is in good shape, and the truss rod doesn't have any thread showing. There's lots of room for adjustability. We went through the fretboard now. It's super shiny. Frets are super shiny. Ebony's nice and glossy, and there's no visible fret wear anymore. As far as the body goes, we've got surface level scuffs and scratches, but a black guitar kind of shows everything, especially when you hold it up to the light. But overall, it's in pretty nice condition. There's a more like notable ding there near the controls, and a couple impressions you can see in the top. And yeah, these pickups kind of do clash a little bit with the color scheme here, so I think I am going to swap these out with gold covers. And then the back, we've got some, if you hold it up to the light, you can see a lot of buckle worming. So that's kind of impressions in the back made from a belt buckle. Not quite rash yet. Rash is when it goes through the finish, and worming is just when there's like indentations in the finish. So lots of buckle worming, some scuffs, and then we've got a little bit of a ding here near the control cavity. But overall, considering the age of the guitar, again, it's pretty good condition, especially compared to the last one I had. But the neck is in really nice shape. There's no indentations or dings anywhere. Nothing that's going to bother you when you're playing. And then here's our replaced Grover machine heads. They look good, and the holes have been filled and color matched. So you can see them, but they're not super noticeable. And if you swap back to a set of like original style machine heads, you'd be able to use the same screw holes without having to re-drill anything. And here's a look at the serial number. Kind of hard to see there. So yeah, 940233730. And in this year, it was date in the first two digits, so 94 means 1994. And the strap buttons were kind of weird D'Addario strap lock things that I didn't really like, so I just changed them back to gold strap buttons. And like I said before, this thing wasn't able to get very low action-wise without buzzing like crazy, so after a pretty extensive fret level, we've got a really nice setup on this guitar. So using my notch straight edge, you can see that the truss rod's set nice and tight, not a lot of relief in the neck, so there's just a very small gap between the straight edge and the fingerboard. Got nice low action here in the third fret. When I'm using that third fret, you can see that the string is resting almost right on that first fret. So I actually had to file the nut out a bit. These were a little bit high, so I used my nut slot files and improve the action there, so it's really nice now. And then at the 12th fret, using a depth gauge, we can see at the low E, we're sitting at just between a 0.75 and a 1 millimeters for the low E. For the high E, it's sitting at just between a 0.5 and a 0.75. So yeah, very nice low action. on this guitar. Again, this wouldn't have been able to be achieved without the fret level, because there was some high frets. So it might have been that I think the original owner said this was originally from Florida. So you know, the climate difference between Florida and Alberta is pretty big. The move and the humidity might have affected you know, the wood, and some frets could have moved around a little bit to adjust to the new climate. So that might have been a large reason why it needed the fret level. And yeah, just like my old 92 that I had, the neck feels great. It's nice and chunky, and yeah, nice thick neck. It feels really good. I'm just going to go through the fingerboard now, just to make sure there's no buzzing or fretting out anywhere. I like to speed up this part, but if you want to hear it in real time, just slow down your player to 25%. So yeah, very nice low action, and no buzzing or fretting out anywhere. A fret level can really do this for your guitar. So if you get really good at your own fret work, it's really easy to make your guitars play great. Or you can take it to a luthier, and you can pretty much get any guitar playing at this level. It just requires a good fret level from a luthier, and you'll be able to get action that low. And this guitar rings out really nicely. Really good sustain too. Width of the nut is a 1.69 or a 42.93 millimeters. And at the 12th fret, that's a 52.43 millimeters or a 2.06 inches. Neck depth at the first fret is a 0.85 inches or a 21.59 millimeters, and at the 12th fret, that is a 24.78 millimeters or a 0.97 inches. Here's a look at the neck profile. So yeah, just a pretty standard C, nice chunky C. It stays quite rounded by the 12th fret. And the neck feels great. It's got super nice rolled edges, and it's nice and chunky. I really love 50s style necks. It just really fit my hand well because I've got a little bit larger hands. And I just was comparing the measurements to my last 90s Studio, and the neck is a little bit narrower than the last one I had, but the thickness is about the same. So just a tad narrower, but it feels really comfortable. And on a strap, there's no neck dive at all. It stays right where it should. Alright, let's plug it in and see how this thing sounds. And today we're going to try something a little different. I just got this head. It's a RD45H. It's a 50 watt Randall all tube amplifier. It's called the Diavolo. And it's got a really nice clean channel, very usable. And then on the overdrive channel or the dirty channel, you can get a really nice like overdriven sound, or if you crank it, you can go all the way to like metal. So it's a pretty versatile amp, and it sounds really good. I'm miking that up with a 112 cab using an SM57, and then I'm using an Audio-Technica condenser mic for the room. So I'm plugged into my Randall Diavolo. I'm just going to be using the amp for clean and dirty, and we're going to be trying out the Von Scow pickups in this 90s Studio, and these are coil splittable. So the claim to fame on these pickups is they're supposed to sound really good split. I think it's really hard to find a humbucker that actually does that well. So we'll see. And I'm just going to go through each position clean, and then with some overdrive, and then at the end we'll try it with some heavier stuff. really great clean, really nice definition, and really nice articulation. And they sound great in single coil mode as well. Very convincing, nice sounding single coils with not a lot of drop in volume either. So very, very nice. Okay, let's try it with a little bit of dirt. Alright, final thoughts on this 1994 Gibson Les Paul Studio with the ebony board and the upgraded pickups. Yeah, I mean, every 90s studio that I play is amazing, so they definitely live up to the hype. I've yet to play a bad one, and they're all a little bit different, like neck-wise. This one's a little bit narrower than the neck I had before on a 92, and then I have a 2003 a white one that still has the ebony board that the neck's a little bit different too. So these are all hand carved necks. They're all going to be a slightly different. There's no two going to be the same, but this one feels great. It's got a nice chunk to it, and even though it's a little bit narrower than the other one I had, it still feels very comfortable to play. I feel like I got lots of room. And these 90s studios are awesome. They're considered to be the good wood era, whatever that means. I think they had some really nice supply of woods at that point. And like I said before, just at that time, the workers had an average longer time frame of being there than any other point in history. So yeah, I think they were pretty dialed in during those years. And again, there wasn't a lot of returns those years either. So they were putting out some really nice quality stuff with apparently very nice wood. And these 90s studios are a little bit special because they have the ebony board combined with all that quality and nice materials. And, you know, they're not too expensive. You can still pick them up for, you know, relatively decent prices. Especially compared to the new studios, and especially compared new standards and other offerings Gibson's putting out right now. Prices are really high for new Gibsons, and these old ones are probably as good or better than the new ones, especially if you go within these years. These Von Scow pickups were great. I picked these up for like a really nice price used. I've never heard of them before, so I gave them a shot. And wow, they had great tone, super clear sounding pickups, very articulate. You can like really differentiate the sound of the string, each string, and note that you're playing, even with like distortion, which is the clarity is a really nice thing on humbuckers. I thought it sounded a lot like my R8 with the custom buckers. And I actually did a sound comparison. I think I'm going to do a video on that too. But they were very similar to like a custom bucker, even though these are Alnico 5 pickups. They just have the same amount of like clarity and same kind of breakup kind of a thing. These are really excellent sounding pickups. And yeah, they do sound great in single coil mode as well. Usually when you split a pickup like a humbucker in single coil mode, it sounds, usually get a big drop in volume or it doesn't sound quite right. These are very convincing single coil sounds. If you ever come across a set of the Von Scow pickups, I would definitely recommend them. They seem to be really good. I noticed on the website he's no longer taking orders right now. I think they're doing a shop change. So in the meantime, you can't get them. But keep an eye out for these, and I'm sure they'll be back up and running soon. But yeah, nice weight. You know, the playability was not there when I first got this guitar, and that could be due to the climate change when it came from Florida to here. And some wood moved around a little bit. Anyway, it just required a little bit of extra attention, but I definitely dialed it into the where I wanted it, and now it plays super low with great action. That's another thing, is if you find a guitar that you really like, but it's not quite there in terms of playability wise, you can't get the action quite where you want it, or you know, various small playability issues, take it to a luthier. Or, you know, you can find a bunch of videos online and do it yourself. Which is a fun kind of learning process, and it's really good to be able to do that on your own guitars. But usually, like, a setup is the step away from a good guitar and an amazing guitar. So yeah, don't be scared to take guitars to your luthier, give him some work, and you'll thank yourself afterwards, because your guitar is going to play so much better. Or if you want to put in the work yourself, it's super satisfying to be able to pick up like a used guitar and make it play exactly the way you want it. But that's going to be it for today. Thank you for tuning into Beckler Guitars and Repair, and I'll have more for you really soon. Thanks a lot. Get yourself a 90s studio.